Okay, today is one of those days where, I think this happens to everybody, but I don't feel like drawing. I don't feel like it. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna draw. This is how you break out of that. So, how do I do this? Um, there are a few ways that I tackle this issue. What do you do when you don't feel like the thing that you need to do? Well, I started out a few minutes ago just browsing through some of my collection of images, things that I've gathered over the years, just looking at it and seeing if anything sparks my interest. And there was something. I saw this photo of a building, and it's so unusual. I don't know what it was, if it was the orange and white color scheme or the like there's a lighthouse on the top, but it doesn't look like this should be a lighthouse building. Like it just feels odd. I mean, it could be a combo of different things. Anyway, we're gonna draw it because I feel drawn to this image. And I don't feel like doing it, but I'm gonna do it. So where do I start? Um, this is similar to I'm gonna limit myself in a couple of ways, and I think that will help with some creativity issues here. So sometimes when I'm feeling this way, I will put some restrictions on myself just so I don't have to spend extra energy on those things. For example, I'm going to use basically one brush this this whole sketch. I may block this out, I think, with my inker brush, but most of the work, probably 95 plus percent, is going to be done with Jeff's fine pencil. I think that's what I'm gonna do. So that will help. Um, and also, I'm going to limit my color palette. In this image, I see orange is the main color here. And it has some white trim. And there's also some dark, like there's a dark, maybe a brown, I think, that I see. Um, there's more, but I think I will limit myself to those three. And since I'm working with a white canvas, I may work with an off-white, or you know what I will do? Here, this is what I'm gonna do. Is this what I'm gonna do? This is what I'm gonna do. I'm going to change my background color to be a warm gray tone. I think that's gonna help. And then we'll start with just blocking out. Yeah, this is such a strange building. We're just gonna block it out with this inker. And if you guys don't know, do you see what I'm doing here with Procreate? If you start to draw a line, even if it's a little crooked, and then you hold it, Procreate will straighten that line and you can continue to adjust it, which is so helpful sometimes. Um, we're gonna put, it looks like this building is leaning a little bit. We're gonna put a little extra character into this building. And already I can see I've got my scale a little bit off. That's not quite halfway. All right. And then there's this and chunk chunk. And then let's get this guy here and here. And we will fill all of this in a little bit. Shoop. Okay, and then we have this section that runs from, I'm making marks when I don't want to, up here. And then there's this little, is that a chimney back there? I think it might be. And let's get this curve. And then up here, all right. I think that's the basic building blocks. So let's fill that in. And then look at that. Already we've got something going on here. I'm just going to adjust this, and I'm going to add a little bit more character and boop, just make it lean a little bit more. All right. Now for the rest of this, I will work with a clipping mask and use the fine pencil. So let me see. Yeah, I think I will use this color as like the brown, and I'm just gonna block in where I see some dark colors, and I'm not really going to be super precious about this at the moment because I think I will go through and refine some of that here in a little bit. I just want to get the basic shapes of everything. And then there's a window over here too. So on days like this where it's just, man, I need to draw, but I don't want to draw, but I should draw. Uh, you really have to put on this mindset of, listen, I'm gonna do my best. It may not be the coolest thing that I've ever worked on, but at least I put some marks on the paper. And actually, what I found over the years, I think this is true for a lot of things in life, actually. Um, when I was really starting to get serious about drawing and getting better at especially drawing people and poses and costumes and all that stuff that's really difficult. Trying to get things anatomically correct and getting the folds in clothing, cloth, getting all of that to look the way that it should. It's very, very difficult. It takes a lot of work. And I started doing, I've mentioned it before, timed practices like gesture drawing. And there were many days that I just did not feel like doing that work. However, on the days that I did, which was most because I really, 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 really was motivated. I really, really wanted to learn this skill because I thought, I believe, and I still believe that it would um, make me more valuable, more effective as an artist, and more valuable. Um, when I would do the work on the days that I did not feel like it, even though it was not my best work, like that stuff would not end up in my portfolio. Um, looking back afterwards, it had a profound effect just because I was consistently showing up and doing the work. My skills improved dramatically. And on the days when I took a me break, right? When I took some me time because I wasn't feeling it, I was exhausted, I was tired, I was grumpy, or whatever the reason. On those days, I could look back and say, yeah, I took a break, but I'm tired again and my skills still haven't improved, right? Like being tired happens and taking breaks is important, yes, but I feel like especially in my generation, I don't know if it's a generational thing or if it's just a social media peer kind of thing. You will get so much further ahead in life and you will build resilience if you just keep showing up, especially on the days that it's hard. Especially on the days that it's hard. That's life. Life is difficult, but you gotta do it. You gotta do it. Okay, here we go. I think this is looking pretty good. I don't know how detailed we'll get with this. I think obviously this is going to be a longer video. I mean, already, look at that. That's not too bad. I'll take that. Um, so let's label these. This is going to be our house, and this is going to be the shading, and this is going to be the light. And I think, yeah, let me do this white here. Now this one is interesting. Let me do, yeah, how am I gonna do this? I'm looking at, um, so this portion of the image, let me just scribble real quick. This section here, there's a light portion right here, right? So what I may have to do is switch these layers. Ding. I think that'll fix mo most of that. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Let's just do that. Yeah, let's just do that. And there's some texture stuff. Let me see if I can, I'll block in these white trim areas first, and then we'll see about the texture behind it. But I think it's important just to block in the basic shapes here. And you see like how far that we've gone in just a few minutes, like 10 minutes, almost 10 minutes here. just by blocking in the basic shapes. We haven't really done any real like rendering. We're not getting any uh we're not focusing on the texture or really the shading. We're just blocking in the shapes. And actually, I can see there's some more. Yeah, there's some more areas here uh, that could use that dark color. And I think I'm going to adjust this section because that white line looks a little too wide. Maybe I'll trim some off here. Yeah, I want it to be about there. And if something that I used to care a lot about, but I don't really care so much about anymore, because now I feel like these little things they add to the character of a piece. But before, um, do you see as I erase, there's just little sections here where there's some leftover marks. And I used to be very, very clean. Like those marks have got to go. Um, but man, lately I just leave a lot of it because that texture, that little bit of imperfection, it just adds some character. Like it tells a part of the story of how this piece came into existence. So I don't mind leaving it so much anymore. All right, let's do this one. And I think, well, I'll show you here in a second when I get to it. But I think I will add another layer of white. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty good. Let's see, 4 windows. That's pretty close. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're going to get a little tricky. Yeah, yeah, that needs to happen. And then also we need one more white area on top of here. I can see this house is boarded up, like it's abandoned. So who knows? Who knows the story of this place? It just looks very interesting. Um, I think this is actually a window, although the way I've drawn it, it kind of looks like a door, maybe. Yeah, that's not too bad. This is turning out pretty good. There. Like already that looks like something. That's not too bad. I will take it. Here's what I'm going to do. All right. I'm going to do this. Uh, I want to add one layer here and get, I think, an orange. Yeah, because this building has um, like panels on it. And I'm curious if I did that or if I'm just gonna keep going this way. Because this is digital, you can cheat, and there is no judgment. Look at this. Done. And nobody will ever know. There we go. That's pretty good. And also, we could do the same for this section up here. Maybe if I get um, a color that's a little bit different, just to add a bit of texture to this area. Although, because I am drawing on that layer, we can't use our little duplication hack. That's all right. This is a small area anyway. I want to keep these windows dark though. Okay. Now that may show up. Mm, what else? Like that's pretty good. I think what I might do is merge some of this and let's get a little crazy. We'll just add a little bit of a background here. Since the background is not, that's not the focus. Um, we just want enough information here that the house is not like floating in space. We will ground it here. Just set it in some location by putting some ground and I think a little bit of sky. Yeah, dude, check that out. Not too bad. It turns out better than I thought it might. And how's this looking? If we scribble in some sky, how's that gonna? I think it might be okay. Although with this pencil, it's going to take a little while to fill that in. Just not sure if I want to do it. And yet here I am doing it. But I do enjoy that texture, like the little bits and pieces of the background showing through. I like that little bit of character. And then I think if we add just a few clouds, then we'll call this piece pretty much done. Let's see, how's that looking? Pretty good. Looks pretty good. I remember scribbling this sky makes me think about back in, man, I think I was still in high school and I was taking art lessons. I really only took art lessons. I was mostly self taught, but for a couple of years, I had an art teacher who owned a framing shop, and she would have groups of kids that would come in, and I mostly learned. We started with pencil and kind of graduated into color pencil. And anyway, I was working on this piece and I can't remember. I think I was drawing a bunch of little tiny trees in the background. And I was just getting tired of it because it was the same shape over and over and over and over. Hundreds of these little tiny trees. And I don't know why. I think it was just my uh, immaturity as an artist. Like at the time, I had this idea that there had to be detail on absolutely everything. Like no cutting corners, no shortcuts, no shorthand for this line is indicating a tree. No, it had to like spell out this is a tree and here are all of the leaves that you can see on the tree. Anyway, I was drawing hundreds of these little tiny trees and I just reached a point where I was done and I didn't want to do it anymore. And I said something, and uh, I can't remember exactly what she said, but my teacher was like, that just doesn't sound like Jeff. Like, you don't you don't quit. You're not the kind to just stop because something is difficult. And so I kept drawing these little tiny trees, and I finished that piece. But I mean, that's along the same lines of, just because it's hard or just because you don't feel like it, man, just do it. Just do it. And I think you'll find, like, instead of this idea of, I need to get some me time to recharge my batteries and then I'll feel stronger and I can go and do whatever the thing is. Actually, if you keep doing the thing, whatever it is, even when it's difficult, especially when it's difficult, what you're going to find is you build that resilience so that the next time, and there will be a next time, that, like, this is just a part of life. The next time a difficult thing comes, you are more prepared to handle that difficult thing. You're not going to throw up your arms and say, oh, I need to take a break. I need to just relax and recharge so that I can handle this thing. Sometimes, yes, you need to take a break. And that's not to say never, never take a break. But sometimes you just got to do the thing and make yourself stronger for the next thing that is coming. It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. Life is full of those unexpected moments. And the more that we can prepare ourselves for them by just doing it, not sucking it up and pretending like life is always perfect. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about just doing hard things. Just doing the hard things. There we go. Look at that. That's not too bad. Oh, there's a part. Hold on. I saw this earlier and I need to get it. Um, there's some crazy stuff going on right about, let me see, right about here. And also, it looks like part of the building is coming apart here, which is fun. That adds some character. How long has this building been sitting here? Who knows? And I'm going to fix this part. Yeah, there we go. And also this part. Oh, wait. Oh, I see. Is it that one or this one? It's that one. I'm not sure that I like this section right here that just looks, I don't think it fits the piece, so I'm not going to draw it. Just going to leave it out. There we go. That's not too bad. I'm glad that I drew something, and I'm glad that I drew this. And uh, now I have this piece to show people. Even on the day that I didn't feel like it, we did it, and we ended up with something that's, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Yeah. Yeah. I like that. We could take this further, but I'm not going to. I think just the basic shapes and the crunchy little textures. Look at that. I just love the way this pencil adds just a little bit of character. Anyway, I hope this was helpful for you. I hope you enjoyed watching this and you learned something, and even just swinging by and hanging out for a little bit. I really appreciate it. Um, if you want to know the pencils that I used to create this piece, I'll leave a comment in the description for you. And those are my custom Procreate brushes that I've spent a lot of time working on, and I use them in my own commercial work. These are the color pencils and the markers and the inks that I use in a lot of the work that you see. Anyway, I hope that it's useful. And if you have some ideas about what we can talk about or what you would like to learn from this channel, let me know. I read those comments and I'm glad to hear from you. If there's anything else, man, I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming by, and we will catch you in the next video.